Hello, D-Gens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I, of course, am the Brofix one, AJ, and joining me on this epic Bracketology broadcast, we, of course, have the Money Train, Noah. Noah, been a minute. How you doing, bub?
I am good, AJ. I am good. March Madness finally here. Had some
Fine.
great conference tournaments. That was awesome. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way,
Oh, yeah.
to everybody out there, Irish or not, who are celebrating. Love St. Patty's Day. Anyways, yeah, bracket is here. Gotta say, could not have been more thrilled the way that Selection Sunday went.
Really? You have no issues with Selection Sunday whatsoever? I mean, we've been doing you got to understand, we've been doing this show for 5 years now, and this, I think, might be the first time I've ever heard you come on, whether football or basketball, involving a selection committee, and you're like, honestly, couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah, and I say that from two fronts, mainly because I love how the West region shook out for Arizona's purposes, first and foremost. But secondly, I don't think there were any big blunders with this. It's not the selection committee's fault that we had the weakest bubble that I can ever remember seeing.
Yeah.
But you start looking at some of those last, the last 8 teams that they put in there, and it's like, who are you going to swap them out with? Like, it really doesn't matter. If they had left Miami, Ohio out as a whole, I would have had some beef.
Different conversation.
I would have liked to see Miami, Ohio. Like, the 11 seed is fine after losing in the quarterfinal of their conference tournament. That was bad. I worried that was going to maybe keep them out. Would have liked to see them at least grab one win in their conference tournament. But
yeah.
I would have liked to see them as like a standalone 11 seed or maybe even a 10 seed instead of an 11 seed play-in, but it is what it is. They're still in the field of 68, so I can't really complain there. I think the selection committee didn't want to set a precedent that you can go undefeated in the regular season and maybe not make the tournament. So
Exactly.
they put them in nonetheless. But yeah, you look at the rest of the bubble teams, and it's, a lot of just weak, middle of the road SEC teams filling out a good chunk of that. And then it's like, you look at who are you going to replace them with? Other weak ass SEC teams. So
Exactly.
It's fine. Honestly, it's going to be an interesting bracket. I don't know that we're going to see a lot of the 10s, 11s, 8s, or 9s really make a ton of splash this year. 8s and 9s, partly because we have such strong 1 seeds this year. But then the 10s and 11s, I'm like, that bubble was just so goddamn weak this year that I don't know that a lot of them are going to get wins in the tournament field.
Ooh, well, I might have, I might have a couple different arguments about some of those 10, 11, 12 seeds as I do most years. But before we go any further, Noah, I do want to take a moment, shout out to everyone here on Rumble, over on YouTube, taking some time out of your day. We're talking some college basketball with us. We appreciate it. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help out a lot more than you know. But before we get to the bracket, Noah, because the bracket is its whole other thing, and we will do a full bracketology, our picks and everything going into this. But the real thing is, the news started about March Madness before this week even really got started. Selection Sunday came and went, and then I wake up on Monday morning to find out that, I hit the wrong button. Let's go ahead and hit the right button. That Alabama guard Aiden Holloway was arrested for first-degree possession of marijuana and failure to affix tax stamp. It was reported later on by ESPN that it was essentially a little bit of a raid situation. A search warrant was put out for his apartment, got investigated at his apartment, search warrant was searched, and there was, marijuana absolutely everywhere, Noah.
2.1 pounds, to be quite exact. I was saying earlier, I'm not sure what the limit is in the state of Alabama that makes it a felony, but in most legal states, 2.1 pounds would be enough to get you in trouble.
So, it actually, federally speaking, it is a felony in all 50 states to carry more than a pound of marijuana, because then that starts to fall into distribution and everything like that. Um, yeah, listen, I've been around a lot of people, Noah. You and I have been around a lot of different people, and we've gotten to know a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life and everything like that. And throughout some of those experiences, you run into some people that have run into a pound, 2 pounds, 10 pounds of weed and everything like that. And let me tell you, Noah, whenever I met one of those people, it wasn't for themselves. They, they didn't have all that weed just for themselves, just lying around just in case a rainy day happened or anything like that.
You're saying that's not all for personal use?
No, no, actually, it's probably for the opposite of personal use and for the retail use, but not the legal kind. And then you run into the fact that you're doing weed business in the Bible Belt. You're going to run into some other issues there too. I mean, it's barely medically legal in Alabama and everything like that, so that's just not good whatsoever. There are so many questions behind that, but I guess the question that we need to focus on, Noah, because we are not a legal show whatsoever. How do you think this is going to affect Alabama? I mean, Nate Oates has come out and already said that they're preparing to play without Aiden. I don't understand how you let someone with a pending felony charge onto the court. I guess Nate Oates let a G leaguer, come back to college and play and everything like that, and then he couldn't play anymore. And then I'm sure there's some other issues, but I don't see him playing. I know Alabama is also down their backup point guard who got injured and won't be playing in the tournament this year. You know what I mean? This is a high-powered offense. They're taking away one of their better shooters out there. I'm a little weary for how Alabama's going to sit on this, Noah, and we'll get to the bracket after this, but I felt like this was worthy to touch on before we even got started.
Yeah, it's gonna have a big this whole season for Alabama has been a weird nightmarish roller coaster, if you
Nightmare
will.
from hell. Oh my
Um,
God.
a lot of unwanted, unneeded attention. Their basketball program's been in the spotlight like 3 times since the start of the season until now, and none of them in positive ways. From a on the floor standpoint, because you got the distraction piece, whatever. Maybe they shake off the distraction; it doesn't really matter. But they are going to be struggling a little bit with depth, specifically guard depth, I think,
Oh
and
yeah.
that could potentially have an impact. Um, will they still be favored by a good chunk of points against Hofstra? Yes.
When I say no line movement, Noah, I mean at literally no line movement.
Yeah, but all these things have an impact. They can have an impact. Um, and yeah, just the uncertainty is not really like what you want.
No, and it's one of those things. I don't care how good a team is. I don't care how bad a team is. You have a star player that is no longer with the team for a random reason, and something like this, it's going to be difficult. And they can prepare all they want, but it's going to be. I think it should definitely be one of those things that maybe waivers people off of Alabama if they think Alabama is going to go deep in the tournament. Granted, I don't think any SEC team's going deep in this tournament, but that's a
Yeah,
whole other conversation.
and Alabama's got to do a little self reflection there because issues this year. It's not just this year. Like this whole kind of been there. Again, finding themselves in the limelight too often for not positive reasons, and it's just continuing and makes you wonder about the whole culture there. Obviously, they've made some deep tournament runs in the past, gotten past some other self-inflicted adversity, but um, we'll see. I don't know. I don't have. I don't really have too many hopes of them making a deep tournament run, like you touched on.
Neither do I. Last thing on this, Noah. This, I will say, the way Nate Oates has handled this season makes me even more think he's ready for an NBA job and might be jumping up ship soon. Regardless of how Alabama does, rumors always fly and everything like that. We're not even close to the NBA coaching cycle yet, but he's always one of those names where he runs pretty much a, offense first NBA style offense. and he can deal with people, getting arrested with 2 pounds of marijuana and bending the rules. So yeah, we can have a G leaguer play, and it kind of fits the NBA mold right now, and I think would really fit into the culture Adam Silver has built there in the NBA. But
Yeah, that's an
again,
interesting point because Nate Oates does and has it in the last few years at least definitely kind of run this Alabama program like an NBA team. So
and again, I was banging the drum last year for the Suns. Go get Nate Oates. Let's go ahead and see what he can do. I mean, but granted, the Suns are doing great right now, so I'm so glad they didn't listen to me. But anyway, Noah, you ready to get into this bracket? Talk some bracketology?
yes, sir. Let's do it.
Which I will say, of all time, bracketology has to be my favorite made up word in the entire world. You know what I mean? The science of a bracket. I absolutely love it. You want to start East or West?
Dealer.
Well, let's get it
choice.
out of the way, Noah. Let's start over in the West. Let's get the homerisms out of our system and everything like that. As first up, Arizona, Long Island, excuse me, not Longwood, Long Island, fins up, right? Am I doing that right? Am I? Is that how the three people in the stadium do it? Is that how all three students do it there? Okay. Arizona obviously heavily favored here, and I mean we look at this West in general. Arizona, Long Island, Villanova, Utah State, Wisconsin, High Point, Arkansas, Hawaii, BYU, TBD, Gonzaga, Kansas State, Miami, Missouri, Purdue, Queens. Let's start with this, Noah. Who do you think poses the biggest threat? Obviously, Arizona, the big name in this bracket, the unanimous number one for a lot of this season. Damn near went undefeated, lost only 2 games, Big 12 regular season champs, Big 12 tournament champions. Who do you think can stop Arizona? Because I haven't even seen your bracket yet, and I know your bracket looks similar on the West that I do. You got Arizona probably all the way to the Final Four, right?
I do. That's why, like I said, I was thrilled, over the moon. Selection Sunday, watching that. I said before the selection show started, I said, God, I really hope, and this was right after Purdue had knocked off Michigan in the Big Ten title game. And I said, okay, Purdue might have worked their way up to a 2 seed. I said, if everything works out the perfect way that I want it to, I would love Gonzaga to be the 3 and Purdue to be the 2. And then sure enough, I'm like, okay, Arizona number 1 in the West. I'm like, knew that was going to happen. Wisconsin gets revealed in that 5 seed. I was like, not surprised. Of course, they decided to throw Wisconsin in our bracket because got to have the old skeleton in our closet. I figured Gonzaga would be, just because all season long and all the projections, Gonzaga's been in that 2-3 seed, even when it fell down to a 4 seed, all matched up in the West. They want the Tommy Lloyd, Mark Few showdown. I get it. But I'm going to say the team that scares me the most, and I really, really fucking hate to say it, is going to be that old skeleton in our closet. Wisconsin. It's not Purdue. It's not Gonzaga. It's not the 2-3. Wisconsin and Arkansas, probably the 2 teams that scare me the most. Yet, defensively, neither of those teams the greatest. So Arizona, very good defense this year. Previous years, we've been this high-octane offense and haven't quite had the defense to back it up. This year, a little bit different. Team's definitely a lot better rounded. And then the third team that maybe I'm keeping an eye on, not necessarily that I'm nervous about them preventing us from a Final Four, but Miami.
I know, right?
I've got Miami in the Elite Eight.
Whew, okay.
I've got Miami making an Elite Eight run. If it comes head to head where we're playing Miami in the Elite Eight, I'm not really worried about that game. I'm worried about the Sweet 16 game because I think we'll cruise through Long Island. Utah State or Villanova will kick their asses, win that game by about 15, 20 points at least. And then it's that kind of Arkansas, Wisconsin. I'm hoping, praying on my lucky stars, that either Hawaii or High Point finds their way into the Sweet 16. But, let's be real. Maybe a 10, 15% chance of one of those 2 teams making the Sweet 16. So it's probably going to be Wisconsin or Arkansas. And that game scares me more than a potential Elite Eight matchup does, against whether it's Gonzaga, Purdue, Miami, BYU. if somehow one of the other teams gets in there, it doesn't really worry me. I'm very at ease with this Western region as a U of A fan. And there's been
Yeah.
previous years where I'm like mapping it out and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh God, those are going to be tough games. That's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a tough game. And, we've lost a lot of those. So this year, and maybe it's a bad thing, but the way we've played all year, and this is a much better Arizona team than we have had in probably a decade, if not longer. And I really don't think there's going to be much of a stumble.
It doesn't feel like that. And, BYU is a team that we've just had close games with them. And so they just scare me in general, I guess. But
well, they're weird too, because I could see BYU. They're one of those teams. Them and Kansas are the same. We'll get to Kansas later, but those are two teams, both out of the Big 12. Yeah, they could both make a deep run and be a threat in any given game. But they're so inconsistent that both of them could be a first round exit. I could see either Kansas or BYU going winning a couple games and then just losing a bad one. So I don't think BYU's got what it takes to make an Elite Eight or Final Four run. Could they win a game or two? Yeah, I could see them totally beating whoever wins this game right now between NC State and Texas. And then I could see them taking out Gonzaga in the second round.
Yeah.
All to, lose in the Sweet 16, or maybe they win in the Sweet 16 and make it to the Elite Eight. But I don't see a world where BYU makes the Final Four. As good as Devanza is,
I'm with you
and
there.
he might be putting up 40 points a game as long as they stay in the tournament. But that's not enough. With Richie Saunders out, BYU is not a Final Four team. They don't have a chance.
BYU is not a Final Four team, but still a team, even though they're weird, has that threat to make that big run in there. I'll be honest with you right now, Noah. I've only put together two brackets. I put together the one that came out right. I put one together right after Selection Sunday. I was like, all right, just brain out. What do I think is going to happen? And then I put one together after I crunched some numbers, started doing some research, doing some digging and everything, accounting for others that may get arrested for having 2 pounds of weed on them and everything like that. And I'm sorry, this is going back to Miami. In one bracket, I have Miami going to the Sweet 16, but ultimately losing to Gonzaga. I got Gonzaga and Arizona in the Elite Eight in one bracket. And then my other bracket, I do believe I have Miami. Nope, I've got Gonzaga again beating Miami. So I don't know. I'm high on Miami. I'm higher on Gonzaga right now to get it done. So I guess we should start. I mean, so you have Arizona over Long Island, obviously, Villanova, Utah State. Who you got for this one here?
I like Utah State. Villanova has backpedaled their way, and that's going to be a theme because there's about 6 or 7 teams I'll talk about that really just stumbled, backpedaled their way, tripped into this tournament. And I haven't looked deep enough into the data to see teams that have lost, 3 of 4, 5 of 6, 6 of 8 going into the tournament, but I can't imagine there's a huge success rate with that. March is all about getting streaky, getting hot at the right time, and having 4 days off, 5 days off, at least in my opinion, is not enough to flip that switch and right the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is. I'm sure there are teams that have done that, but I think if you looked at I'm sure that's the exception, not the rule. Utah State, they did drop a couple late in the regular season there, still got the 1 seed in the Mountain West and took care of business and won that tournament. So I like Utah State to beat Villanova by a good 8 to 10 points. I just think they're a better, more well-rounded team.
I'm with you. I got Utah State in that one too, and then losing to Arizona in the round of 32.
And I think they could be feisty in the round of 32. I think they could stay close for a little bit. Maybe, at the end of the day, maybe if they play well, 12, 15-point game. If they don't play well, Arizona could win that game at 25, 30 points.
True, but still a better game than I think most people would be expecting. Wisconsin High Point.
Yeah, Wisconsin High Point, interesting. Every year with these 5-12 matchups, right? There's these really popular 12 seed picks. And sometimes they work out.
Sometimes.
Sometimes sometimes they fall flat on their faces.
Yeah.
Everybody was all over High Point last year. Did not work out for them. High Point and McNeese were the two big hot ticket upset picks
Yeah.
last year. McNeese did get it done. I had McNeese in the Sweet 16 last year. I was upset when they lost
Me
to
too.
Purdue. But High Point not able to get it done last year. I think they were a better team last year.
I agree.
They're not bad. They could put up a fight. However, this is not an upset that I expect to happen because I do think Wisconsin is a feisty ass 5 seed. Like, they're not a weak 5. That being said, Wisconsin has dropped a couple games to inferior opponents. They're one of those teams where they rely heavy on their offense. Only problem is High Point's not a really strong, heavy defensive team. High Point also likes offense, so you play a similar style of game. The more talented, more athletic team is generally going to win that. So as good as High Point has been this year, I don't think this is a favorable matchup for them. I think Wisconsin does take this one, and I think they take it somewhat comfortably, if I'm being honest.
I'm with you. I'm a little torn on this one. I'm with you. I did have an alert go off on my phone yesterday that apparently was a reminder I set for myself last year that said, "Hey, don't trust High Point." So I have my initial bracket has High Point beating Wisconsin, but then I did some more digging, and I like the high pace style, but again, you're going up against teams that literally played no defense whatsoever. I think Wisconsin handles business. 9.5, though, the spread is 9.5. I might be looking at High Point to cover. If it moves up to 10.5, 11, I might be looking at them to cover that.
See, I think that single digit spread, I think Wisconsin covers. I think Wisconsin wins this by double digits. We're going to get, I should pull it up actually so it's in front of me. Do you have the People's Bracket in front of you? I can pull it up real quick.
What is that?
Just what percent the public has chosen.
I have not.
Hang on, I can find it. There's something in ESPN that had it.
All right, I got it up.
I'll get there in just a moment. If if my laptop will load anything up.
Dude, it's okay. Mine's doing the same. All right.
Oh, here we go. People's Bracket. As of right now, recording this, 17% of the public on High Point. So I was going to guess 20, 25.
I was, yeah.
17 still considerable. I don't see it happening. I don't.
I'm with you. Arkansas, Hawaii.
Where it's not out of the question, but
Yeah, Arkansas, Hawaii.
This one's interesting to me. This one is really interesting to me. I've had this game circled. Initial thought, Arkansas should be a shoo-in for this. Acuff is absolutely bonkers. I just feel like that Arkansas team's a little too hinged on sometimes what he does if he has a bad game. And Hawaii's a good, slow-paced, defensive-minded team. That's the big kicker here. Arkansas, much better than Hawaii.
Much.
If you're Hawaii, though, and you come in with a 13 seed, I know you're not expecting to make a deep tournament run if you're a Hawaii fan. This is an almost ideal 4-5 draw.
Yeah.
Because if Hawaii can go in and dictate the pace of the game, slow things down, turn this into a defensive battle, Arkansas is not a very good defensive team, and Wisconsin's not either. Hawaii's going to need to have a really good shooting night, though, to get past.
They will need to shoot lights out.
If they can shoot the ball and score above their season averages, they will have a chance. 8% of brackets have picked Hawaii to win. I did the same thing as you, made an initial bracket right after Selection Sunday. I've gone back and I think I'm up to 4 or 5 variations of the bracket right now. I did have one where I was toying around with Hawaii in the Sweet 16,
I've messed around with that too. I've
and
messed around with it.
I think Hawaii's got a better chance at making the Sweet 16 than High Point does.
I would agree. And I mean, like you talked about, if they can slow it down and fuck up Arkansas, shoot right, and everything like that, they got to do the same thing against Wisconsin. And
Well,
then
Arkansas, Wisconsin, High Point all play very similar basketball,
yeah,
and if you're Hawaii, you beat Arkansas the toughest games out the way as far as
true.
getting to the Sweet 16. So the tougher games out of the way. If you get lucky and High Point beats Wisconsin, I love Hawaii to beat High Point.
Yeah.
If Wisconsin does beat High Point, you got a slightly easier game than you had in the first round. So I have been flirting around toying with the idea of Hawaii. However, I do think ultimately Arkansas gets it done. Arkansas then moves on.
You also talk about, you also talk about Coach Cal's experience and everything like that. I mean, that does play a little bit of a factor into this. It's not the players, but the coach has been there, done that before. Helps out a lot, Noah.
Except unlike Izzo, who always makes deep tournament runs,
True.
Coach Cal has been bounced in the first or second round quite a few times.
That's true.
You look at Coach Cal, especially his like Kentucky teams, because obviously did really, really well with Memphis, goes to Kentucky. It was pretty much 50-50 whether or not Kentucky was an early exit or if they were making a deep-ass run.
Yeah.
And he made plenty of deep-ass runs, but they got bounced in the first or second round quite a few times under Coach Cal. And I think ultimately losing to Oakland as a 3 seed a couple of years ago was what lost him his job at Kentucky.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right. And then, all right. So you got Wisconsin and Arkansas, though?
I do. I think in my my bracket that I settle on calling my official one, I think I am going to have Wisconsin and Arkansas. Yes.
And then who you got winning that? So I got Wisconsin in that.
I like Arkansas to beat Wisconsin. Very similar game. It turns into an offensive battle. I don't see Acuff having a bad night against a Wisconsin defense. That's my only hope for Hawaii is I think their defense could force Acuff into a not so great night, and then Arkansas is dead in the water. Arkansas, Wisconsin, don't worry about that. I think Arkansas wins that in a high-scoring affair.
Fair enough. And then I have Arizona, Wisconsin in the Elite Eight. I'll take Arizona in that one. No, you have Arizona, Arkansas. I assume you're taking Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona moving on to the Elite Eight.
Sweet. Let's move to the bottom part of the bracket. BYU versus TBD, a.k.a. Texas or North Carolina State. We'll find that out tomorrow. Do you see Texas? Right, oh, that game's on right now? I'm sorry. Yeah. I might have misread.
Texas up 25-15, 8 minutes left in the first half.
Ooh, look at Texas. That's good for them. I really don't give a shit who wins this game. BYU is going to belt to ass.
Yeah, unfortunately, good thing it's not on the official bracket. I am 0 for 1. I was on UMBC to beat Howard. Howard had a
they played unreal tonight.
Great shooting night.
Punched their first ticket.
What was that?
Punched their first ticket in program history.
Oh, I was talking about the play-in game tonight.
Yeah, Howard.
Oh, okay.
They punched their first ticket since in.
Oh, to like the field of 64? Or?
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, that's what I meant. My bad.
Yeah, so.
I was trying to outstat the stat man.
No, you're good. I misunderstood what you were saying, but.
Anyway.
Yeah, this one interesting. I was heavy on North NC State betting wise against Texas. A lot of game left. Obviously, it's an 8-point game, and you still got 7 minutes in the first half and the entire second half. Texas lost 5 of 6, including their first round. Their first game in the SEC tournament against 15-seeded Ole Miss, who did almost go to the championship game there in the SEC. That would have been really cool. Chris Beard's been around the block a few times, but former Texas coach, by the way. Now they just got sweaty ass Sean Miller, and thank God he decided quarters. He went to Texas and decided he's a quarter zip guy now, because
Took him long enough.
Oh my, we did not need to see Sean Miller in a hot gym again.
No,
If
God,
you don't
no.
know what we're talking about, just look up Sean Miller sweaty, and it'll be
Oh
all
my
over the
God.
place. I mean, this man, whatever year that tournament was, where he literally had to change shirts at halftime
Yeah,
because he's
that
not
was
only
funny as
like
hell.
sweat stains, like soaked,
Sweated through the shirt. Like it
soaked.
was.
In, he looked like he took a shower in his white dress
Yeah,
shirt. But
that was bad. That was bad.
um, anyways, yeah, I'm on the same page as you, AJ. I do think BYU wins. They are susceptible to the loss here, as I touched on earlier. Won't dive back into that. Right now, public's 80% on BYU, 20% on the unknown with this game. Curious to see if that changes or how that changes, depending on who comes out
Shit.
victorious in this
Texas
one.
wins. You're gonna get every.
State's got a little bit of a better shot at pulling off the little minor upset here against BYU, but we'll see what happens with this game. I do think BYU is not getting bounced in the first round.
Well, let's go to Gonzaga, Kennesaw State. I respect the hell out of the season Kennesaw State's had. They have played great. They've won me some money. I appreciate them. Give me Gonzaga in this one. No ifs, ands, or buts.
You said give you who?
Gonzaga.
Oh, sorry. They both end in the same vowel, so I wasn't sure
Saw.
if I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't sure which one I
Gonzaga.
heard,
Kennesaw.
because that would have been a very you move to like be like, yeah, I'm on Kennesaw.
No.
No, yeah, Kennesaw. Unfortunately for you, you are the type of team that Gonzaga likes to put belt to ass to.
Yeah.
And I am not sold on Gonzaga whatsoever this year. I think they are way weaker than a 3 seed. However, again, smaller mid-major teams are the teams that Gonzaga likes to just put the beat down on. And so I think Gonzaga wins in a big statement landslide. I don't like Gonzaga to get super far in this tournament, but I think they'll beat the shit out of Kennesaw.
Yeah, I do too. Excuse me, and then I have Gonzaga BYU. We have Gonzaga BYU. I have Gonzaga moving on past that.
I've waffled on that so much. A Gonzaga BYU matchup, and I think that entire game depends on what BYU we see.
Yeah, always does.
Because I could see BYU beating Gonzaga by 15, 20 points. I could see Gonzaga beating BYU by 15, 20 points, depending on how that game goes. Ultimately, I think I'm reluctantly taking Gonzaga to win that one. But that's such a just coin flip game to me.
Fair enough. No, I think it is, but man, it's a good matchup. Good matchup. All right, let's keep it moving. Miami, Missouri. I got Miami in this one. Who do you got?
Oh, as we talked about earlier, I'm big time on Miami.
Good to go there.
It's weird. I feel super strongly one way or another on pretty much all the 7-10 matchups, and I'm maybe going to be wrong on all of them. We'll see. But I don't know why I'm so like, yep, these 7-10s are super easy this year. But Mizzou's another team that just like, they had so many chances down the final stretch of the SEC season to put themselves firmly into the tournament. And they just shat the bed in all of those. In all of those, Miami played a pretty good season to end the year. Did lose that rematch to Louisville in the ACC tournament. Otherwise, they would have been probably seeded as a 6. Louisville might have been down at a 7. But I think Miami's a pretty decent squad this year and definitely better than Mizzou.
I'm with you there, Noah. And 1.5 is an absolute joke. Give me Miami all day on that spread. Purdue, Queens, 215. Noah, who you got in this one?
Who do you got?
Noah.
I think you know where I'm going with this, AJ.
I do you know where I'm going with this?
I don't, but this is my swing for the fucking fences moment
Oh,
this
we're
year's
on the
tournament.
same side. We're on the same side. Underdog, get the upset banner ready. Give me fucking Queens in this one. This Purdue team sucks. This Purdue team is not good, okay? And I'm
Big
not
Ten,
going to
cha-
prop them
Big
up.
Ten champions Purdue, by the way.
Weak ass Big Ten champions in Purdue. I was not impressed with how they played whatsoever. Not only that, I think this is a bad matchup for Purdue, the way Queens plays. I like them offensively, I like them defensively, and I think they match up well against Purdue. They're going to get their ass whooped by Miami in the round of 32. But hey, they'll be dancing at least until Saturday or Sunday. Give me Queens here with our first upset of the day, Noah.
Yeah, so I do want to preface this by saying I expect Purdue to win this game.
Boo, Noah, boo.
The
You can't
reason
go
I
in
am
there and then pick Queens.
No, the reason I'm picking Queens in my bracket is because I expect that I do think the upset's possible. Purdue has been a first round exit 4 times in the last 10 years. Something to keep in mind. Um, a lot of this core with Purdue is the same core that was playing when they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson in the first round.
Fair lie. Fair
Now
lie.
they're older; they've been around the block a few more times, so hopefully they've learned and don't lose to a 16 seed and then also lose to a 15 seed. Not that I'll feel bad at all for Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and some of those other guys who have been around far too fucking long, but I think if Purdue does beat Queens, which I do think they probably will, I got them losing in the next round anyways. So this is my insured upset pick, if you will, where it's like, okay, it's fine. And it's funny because I did this a couple tournaments ago where I had FAU beating Purdue in the second round. And I did not pick the Fairleigh Dickinson one on that because I was like, well, you don't pick a 16 to beat a 1. You just don't
No.
do it in your bracket. And I probably should pick Purdue, but I'm feeling ballsy, and I want to brag to a lot of my friends. I want to brag in the office with that office March Madness
Oh,
pool.
yeah.
Be like, oh, look at my bracket. I picked Queens.
I picked Queens.
Yeah, be like,
Did you
I knew
not
that.
pick Queens?
I knew that was happening. God, so something about Big Ten teams, highly ranked, loving to lose in the first round.
Right?
It just seems to be something that kind of happens more than it should. Like it happens to other conferences too, but it feels like the Big Ten is the victim of this more than anybody else.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead and give me Queens. I don't feel bad about taking the swing here, mainly because I don't think Purdue's making a deep tournament run. I don't see them in the Sweet 16. I especially don't see them in the Elite Eight. So I'm okay if I'm wrong on this, picking that 15/2 upset.
And I only let myself have one 215 over 15/2 upset this tournament, Noah. I said, no, AJ, only one. We want to have somewhat of a decent bracket this year. And I was flipping between this and UConn and Furman.
Yep. I was just going to say, those are the only two that I think are in the realm of possibility. Iowa State, I see zero chance that they lose to Tennessee State.
Don't see that, yeah.
Houston, Idaho, again, like zero chance.
No.
This one, a non-zero chance. UConn, Furman, also, I would say a non-zero chance, but both probably very unlikely to happen. This one, though, there's just something about it. I'm like, all right.
This feels like the one. This feels like the one where it's like, oh, okay, this might.
And let's be honest, Purdue was a 4 or 5 seed until running their way, and they got the 7 seed in the Big Ten tournament. But until they ran their way through that, and because they got the 7 seed, they got an extra game in the Big Ten tournament too. And then that jumped them all the way from a 4-5 up to a 2. Yes, they're playing really hot right now, but does this 4 or 5 days cool them off a little? We'll see. I feel like there's a little glimmer of hope too for Queens because you have seen Purdue be a first round exit before, right? So it's like, oh, we can do this. Other teams have. It's the same system. You go back and watch film from other teams that have knocked Purdue off in the first round in the last 5 years, which has happened twice, by the way, and learn from that. And the recipe's kind of out there if your team is good enough. And Queens is going to have to play the games of their lives to get this done. But I think it's possible.
I do too. Miami Queens. Who do you got?
Oh, I got Miami over Queens in probably a blowout.
Yeah. Gonzaga, Miami. Who do you got?
I've got Miami moving on to the Elite Eight in a tough fought battle. Gonzaga's just too. They've shown too much weakness for me this year. You look at their resume of quality wins. There's a few of them, but they ultimately didn't play a super tough schedule. You got a couple conference losses in there. Actually, they're some of their best wins were against Santa Clara twice, and then or I guess Santa Clara 3 times, and then splitting with St. Mary's.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they lost one of those 3 games to Santa Clara. They're probably a 4, if not a 5 seed. That loss to Portland is just burned into my memory because Portland's dog shit. Portland's worse than all 68 teams in this field, and
they're bad.
Gonzaga lost to them. So I'm not gonna go all the way and say Gonzaga is even a lock for the first round. I think they will kick the shit out of Kennesaw State, but yeah, they make me too nervous to pick them going any farther than the Sweet 16.
Well, I have Gonzaga over Miami in the Sweet 16. I think we're going to see Arizona and Gonzaga in the Elite Eight, and I have Arizona moving on to the Final Four. Shocker. Noah, I assume you have Arizona moving on over Miami.
Yeah. So you got the student becoming the master there.
Yes, sir. Oh, thank you.
And don't get too excited based on my West region. I do have a pretty chalky bracket. This is just probably my least chalky quadrant of the bracket.
I have one more fun surprise, I think, in store.
Oh, I got a couple tricks up the sleeve, but nowhere near as exciting as I have the Western region going.
No. So do you want to go East, or do you want to just keep going down to the Midwest?
We can go to the Midwest here.
All right, let's go to the Midwest.
We're working a little European style, instead of left to right to left, because that's how they read over there in Europe.
Well, also clockwise, I guess you could say.
Somebody told me that, I think. Or maybe
no, that's Japan.
I don't know.
Japan, they read manga, I believe, right to left. Or no, I believe, everything's right to left over there, I think.
I was more so making a joke, but, that's...
Well, no, I've tried to make jokes in the past, too, and you like to over-explain my jokes, so I'm taking the opportunity when I can.
Touche.
Well, let's talk about another joke. I'm not going to waste time. Give me Michigan over Howard. And it was Michigan over literally whoever was put in that spot.
Yeah, hey, if Howard shoots the 3 ball the way that they did tonight against UMBC, they might only lose by 24.
Hey, good on them. It's a 31.5 point spread, so that'd be solid.
I think they can cover.
I'm not worried about them covering. Georgia, St. Louis in this one, 9-8, and I gotta say, Noah, a bad matchup for what was a not great Georgia team. Give me St. Louis in this one. I think they're gonna not dominate Georgia, but I think that offense is gonna be good enough. I think that defense is just good enough. Georgia's going home round 1.
Yeah, such a disappointing end to the season for St. Louis.
It really was.
A team that had themselves positioned at one point at 26-1, where they were flirting with a 4-5 seed, and then they lost 3 out of 4 to end the regular season.
Yeah.
And then they lose in the semifinal of the A-10 tournament.
Yeah.
After needing a 17-point comeback at halftime to beat George Washington in the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
I have a minimal amount of confidence in St. Louis. Super Super happy for their coach, happy for Robbie Avila to actually be in the tournament after they got absolutely snubbed 2 years ago with that 31-3 season at Indiana State. Um, I believe there's like one other player on that team that still is from that Indiana State.
That would be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's Robbie Avila. But
Oh my, I'm sorry.
no,
I'm
I
sorry.
was going to say because
I misheard you. I'm sorry, Noah.
I think God, why can't I think of the coach's name? It's like 5 letters. It's short. I feel like there's a Z in it or something, but it's escaping me at the moment. Doesn't matter. Yeah, because I think he brought over 3 players, and actually
Yeah.
2 of them might be gone, and might just be him and Robbie Avila that are left. St. Louis has got a really good team. Ran the A10 all until the last 2 weeks of the damn season, but I'm nervous. I got Georgia winning in this one because I think St. Louis, one of those teams that just stumbled backwards like Villanova all the way into the tournament. Outside of the last 3 weeks, they were probably a 6 pushing a 5 seed, and now they're stuck in a 9. And Georgia's not that great, but the way St. Louis has been playing, unlike a lot of the A10 competition, I don't think Georgia, if they get out to a 10, 15 point lead, is going to give that up.
Fair enough, Noah. So you got Michigan, Georgia in the round of 32. Who do you have?
I think Georgia's going to give Michigan a little bit of a scare. Georgia's capable. They don't bring their game all the time, which is, neither here nor there. They're an 8 seed. I don't have them going far. I have Michigan winning this game. I just think Georgia, if they do bring their A game, they might give Michigan a little bit of a scare here.
Fair enough. I'm on Michigan, though, over St. Louis. Doesn't matter really who Michigan plays, but I got them over St. Louis moving to the Sweet 16. Noah, Texas Tech, Akron.
This, AJ, I think might be the most popular. Yes, this is the most popular 5-12 upset of the year.
No, it's not.
What?
No, it's not. It can't be. People cannot be picking Akron over Texas Tech.
Yeah, 23% of the public on Akron. Akron's a good team. Look, they're
a good team.
Hey,
Yeah.
Two-bid MAC. Good for them. They.
Oh my God.
No JT Toppin, I think, is the big thing that's worrying people with Texas Tech.
Well, I guess, but not against fucking Akron.
Let me just tell you here that since JT Toppin went out, and just give me a moment.
No, it's been rough for them. I know it's been rough for them.
I didn't know what order we were going in.
No, you're good. I know it's been rough for them with Toppin while you pull up that stat, but my thing is, though, I mean,
well, so since JT Toppin's injury, Texas Tech lost by 5 at Arizona State. That was an abysmal game. Maybe that was the worst game I've seen them play all season. They beat Kansas State by 28. Beat Cincinnati by 12.
Cincinnati's no slouch.
Went into Iowa State and beat them by 9 points.
Yeah,
that's 2-seeded Iowa State, by the way, that they went into their building, and Iowa State doesn't really lose much in their own building.
Yeah.
And then they lost to TCU at home, who is in the tournament field. Lost at BYU, which is a really fucking tough place to play, by all these by single digits. And then lost at home. Iowa State gets revenge, beats them by 22 to end this. That was in the. That was in
the tournament.
And by the way, Iowa State unlocks a whole fucking another level in the Big 12 tournament for whatever reason.
They just do.
Why they call it Hilton South. First couple games, Toppin was out, and that ASU game, I'm gonna chalk it up to it was their first game without Toppin, and it was 2 days after he got injured.
Had to figure out how to play
in that Arizona game. That, by the way, he got injured during that game. No, he got injured in the ASU game.
Yeah,
that's right.
Beginning of the ASU game too.
Christian Anderson's a hell of a fucking player. He was on the second team. He was a second team All American. Their guard Christian Anderson. Akron's a very like go offensive heavy team. They're good. They're a good team. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just struggling to draw up where Akron is going to beat Texas Tech, and more importantly, how Akron is going to beat Texas Tech, because there's a couple other 12-13 seeds where I think if they were matched up against Texas Tech, makes a huge difference. Slow the game down, shrink the possessions, you got a chance to win. Akron's not that type of team, and I don't see them beating Texas Tech here. I like the Red Raiders to win this one and to do it somewhat comfortably, actually.
Yeah, me too. I don't see any issue with them beating Akron at all. And at least we know 28% of the people will have a incomplete, non-perfect bracket already. Moving on, Alabama Hofstra. Noah, we talked about the arrest and everything, and do I think that'll affect them later in the tournament? Yes. Did I think they were going to make a deep run in this tournament regardless of the arrest? No. Do I think they beat Hofstra? Yeah. Yeah, I think they beat Hofstra. Give me Alabama over Hofstra.
That's where we differ. I was, before the arrest, before all this other news, I was flirting around with the idea of Hofstra. Alabama plays a really, really fast-paced game. They don't play a lot of defense. They bank on outscoring and outshooting teams that they play. Hofstra plays slow. They're a defensive-minded team, which, again, whoever controls the tempo of this game is going to win this game. But I say it every year, it's easier to slow the game down than it is to speed it up. Really good teams who play a fast tempo, and Alabama is a really good team in this system. They're used to doing that. It hasn't hampered them in previous tournaments. I think if Hofstra can get their shit together with the game plan to slow this game down and shrink the number of possessions with the lack of depth that Alabama has, something as simple as a little foul trouble for a couple of their guards could be enough to hamper Alabama to the point where Hofstra wins this game. I have Hofstra moving on to the round of 32.
Whew. Good on you, Noah. Good on you. So you got Hofstra and Texas Tech. Who you got out of that one?
I think Texas Tech beats Hofstra easy. At Alabama, they've got that glaring weakness of their play style that you can attack. Texas Tech, I mean, the biggest negative I can draw up with Texas Tech is no JT Toppin.
Exactly.
JT Toppin's healthy. We're not even talking about this because Texas Tech is a 3, if not a 2 seed. So,
exactly. I'm with you there. So then Michigan, Texas Tech, who do you have?
I think Michigan, and I don't think it's a particularly close game.
I have a close game, and I have Texas Tech slipping away.
You're saying this is where it ends for Michigan.
I'm saying this is where it ends for Michigan. I'm saying Elite Eight, Texas Tech over Michigan, because as you talked about, Noah, Michigan, they're known to have bad games, and I think a game with Texas Tech is where they're going to have said bad game. Give me Texas Tech over Michigan, 5-1.
I will say Michigan's in their Big Ten season this year. A lot of close wins.
Close wins.
Almost every one of their close games, they've come out on top. Actually, their 3 losses have kind of been not that close. And but the amount of 3-4 point wins they've had this season, I don't know if that should build confidence or make me nervous. Like I go both ways with it because I'm like, okay, when the game's tight, they win. But then I'm also looking at it like Michigan's had far too many tight games in conference.
That's my thing with how explosive their offense is supposed to be. If anything, I think Texas Tech can definitely slow it down and make it their type of a game. And so that's why I got Texas Tech over Michigan, maybe.
Tech has been a giant killer this year, though. Like that's the thing. lost some games that some of like most of the 1 and 2 seeds have not lost, but they've also won a lot of games that a lot of teams can't say that they've won.
Yeah, Mighty Megatron, couldn't agree with you more. They're hot or they're cold. Not really in between there, but let's move on to the bottom half of the bracket, Noah. Tennessee versus TBD, aka Miami, Ohio, or SMU. Who do you have in that one?
SMU. And
Who do you have?
I don't want to be mean to Miami, Ohio, but like I think I, I don't have a lot good to say about SMU, but I think they blow the brakes off of Miami, Ohio.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh. Oh.
Miami, Ohio deserves to be in the dance. They're just the ugliest girl at the dance. Is what it is. I think SMU is going to beat them tomorrow, and then it's going to be SMU Tennessee. Uh, Tennessee, interesting season. I think Tennessee's a very fucking dangerous 6 seed. Like the way this team plays, they're built for March. Was the regular season that great for them? And if you're a Tennessee fan watching this, you know how much I love to bag on Tennessee all the time.
Oh,
I'm
we
giving
hate
you a
Tennessee on this
compliment.
show.
I'm giving you a compliment, so record this. Next time I say something bad, I can come back to this and say, "Oh, I'm giving you compliments." Uh, Whether it's Miami, Ohio, which I don't think it will be, or SMU, I think Tennessee's waxing whoever they play in the first round here.
Ooh, fair. I can see it. Give me Miami, Ohio. I think Miami, Ohio. How do I want to say this?
Miami, Ohio will be about a 12 and a half, 13 and a half point underdog if they get past
17. 17. They'll be 17. They'll be 17 to 19 point underdogs.
I mean,
for
they're,
that one.
they're what, 7.5 point dogs against SMU?
The SMU, exactly, on the
11.
bottom tier of the SEC. And so then you're going to go up against Tennessee. They're going to be 19 point underdogs. And I'm totally fine with that. I think Miami, Ohio moves on. Spoiler alert, I don't think they get past the round of 32. But I do think they've got enough of a chip on their shoulder in order to go in, take care of business, and then go home. But that's where I'm at there. Virginia, Wright State, Noah.
Oh, God, this one's tough.
I know, I know you want to.
Well, it's tough because Wright State is a very solid 14 seed.
Yeah.
Virginia probably could have been a 2 seed. Or in like a lot of brackets this year's Virginia would be a 2 seed. Like Virginia's too good to lose this game. This is not gonna be an upset. I like Wright State a lot this year. It's just Virginia's too good. They needed a week or 3 to be able to have a chance. Virginia moves on.
I'm with you there. I have Virginia over Miami, Ohio. Virginia, Tennessee. Noah, who do you have?
This one's super tough for me. Like almost down to a coin flip tough. Uh, Again, 2 slow-paced teams, 2 very strong defensive teams. They play a very similar game. They're very similarly ranked. Their efficiency on offense, on defense, both very, very similar. I'm going, as much as it pains me to do it, I'm going with the Volunteers to move on to the Sweet 16.
Okay. Anyway, moving on, Noah. Kentucky, Santa Clara. I hate this Kentucky team. I think this Kentucky team's bad. Give me Santa Clara.
Hey, I'll co-sign that all day long. I got, again, for whatever reason, my confidence level in all these 7-10 matchups is at an all-time high, and I'm probably dumb for that because like these tend to be almost as much as of a coin flip as the 8-9s. Not necessarily, actually. You look at the historic data. Actually, the 11 seeds upset the 6s more than the 10s upset the 7s.
Yeah.
But it's like 61% for 11s, or for 6s win like 61% of the time. No, I'm doing this backwards.
Yep.
6 seeds win about 60-ish percent of the time. 7 seeds win about 61% of the time. So it's only like a 1% difference. 9 seeds win 51% of the time, by the way, in case you care about that.
Good note. So we're both on Santa Clara there.
Yeah, I didn't say it, but yeah, I'm all over Santa Clara on this one. I think
And
they had
then
a hell of a season. So
yeah, and they're gonna keep it moving. Iowa State, Tennessee State. I got Iowa State in this one, easy, Noah.
yeah, bloodbath.
And then Iowa State, Santa Clara. I've got Iowa State moving on.
I'm gonna say second bloodbath.
Yep. And then Iowa State, Virginia for me. I've got Iowa State in that one. You have Iowa State, Tennessee.
Yeah, no, this is where it gets really hard because whether it's Virginia or Tennessee, this feels like the game that Iowa State likes to typically lose. I do think this might be one of the best, if not the best, Iowa State basketball rosters assembled. I'm going to say they finally get their monkey off their back, get to the Elite Eight, which I believe is the farthest they've ever made it in this tournament. Somebody could fact check me on that, but I think the Elite Eight's the farthest that they've gone. I'm going to say they do it again this year. Iowa State to the Elite Eight in a very, very tough fought game against Tennessee.
Yeah, Noah. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's the Elite Eight. My bad. So then my Elite Eight, I have Texas Tech, Iowa State. And Noah, I think you are one game short on when Iowa State wants to choke. Give me Texas Tech over Iowa State coming out of the Midwest into the Final Four.
That's wild to me. No JT Toppin, you think no problem?
No problem. I think that's the game Iowa State blows, and then Arizona blows out Texas Tech.
Interesting. We are Mighty Megatron. We are at halftime of that game. I will try to work that in a little bit more as I do have it on in the background. But Texas did get out to a nice double-digit lead. NC State cutting it to 1 point at halftime, 30-29 at the half. Yeah. Wow. Okay. AJ, all the faith there. I was going to say, yeah, Grant McCaslin, hell of a coach. So, putting it together. I don't hate it. You got the Big 12 matchup. You're going to have, I feel like you got a lot of Big 12 matchups deep in the tournament here.
Well, Noah, when you have one of the best conferences in the tournament, it's hard not to.
The best conference.
Yeah. What do you want me to say?
Mighty Megatron, I am also on NC State, so that deficit early made me a little nervous, but I'm feeling okay now.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, Noah, we are halfway through the bracket. We're an hour in. You want to take a quick step away, and then we'll get through the rest of this?
You want to finish the Midwest region real quick?
Did we not?
Well, you said you got Tech over Iowa State.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't ask about you. You have, what would that be then? Tennessee and...
No. I got Iowa State. I got Michigan.
State.
I got the 1-2 seed here.
That's right.
I think this is where it comes to an end for Michigan. And we are going to get a rematch of the Big 12 tournament semifinal in the semifinal of the March Madness tournament, where Arizona goes on to beat Iowa State for the third time this season. Oh, shit, I jumped ahead. All right, never mind. Iowa State, though, in the Final Four for what I believe is the first time in school history. I'm going to fact check that real quick while we're on break because I want to make sure I'm not misquoting information. But I believe the Elite Eight's the farthest Iowa State's made it.
All right, well, you check that. We're going to step away for a minute. We'll be back to break down the East and the South, and we'll get to our champions to end it. Before we do that, though, do just want to take a moment, shout out to everyone here on Rumble over on YouTube. Taking some time out of your day to talk about some college basketball with us. We appreciate it. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help out a lot more than you know. I'm the Brofect one, AJ. That's the Money Train, Noah. We'll be right back. 3, 2. And we're back. What's up, D-Gents? Brofict1 AJ here with the Money Train Noah as we are deep into our bracketology. Noah, both of us have Arizona coming out of the of the West and the Midwest brackets. You ready to break down the East and the South?
Let's do it.
Let's get into it, Noah. Starting with Duke, Siena. Duke, number 1 overall seed. Siena, they're 16 for a reason. I got Duke coming out of this one.
Oh yeah, Duke, easy.
Yep. Good talk.
Although I did want to point out with the East region, because I know earlier before we got into the bracket, we were talking about the selection committee. They did a weird thing this year where they gave the number 1 overall seed probably the toughest region of the bracket. Usually the number 1 overall seed getting the biggest cakewalk to the Final Four.
Yeah.
But for some reason this year they decided Duke was going to get the hardest, the most, I would say the biggest amount of feisty ass teams sitting here and underseeded teams as well in this East region. So this one's a little bit of a head scratcher to me, a little interesting.
No, I'm with you. No, they put together a stacked region over here, and it's nice that Arizona's not in it for once. Moving on.
No trouble with Siena, though.
No trouble with Siena. Ohio State, TCU, who you got?
This one's a weird one. Like, you look at everything, right? It's like, okay, it should be Ohio State.
Yeah, all the numbers point to Ohio State.
But TCU and another Big 12 team that we'll get to in this region of the bracket, in UCF, so wildly inconsistent. So wildly inconsistent. Like, TCU can give really good teams a hard time. Like, better teams than Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm on Ohio State because I don't know what TCU we're going to get here, but this one's really one of those where, like, don't be surprised if TCU does win this game because they're absolutely capable. They're also absolutely capable of losing it, but I'm on Ohio State. I just think they're more consistent, and I just feel safer taking Ohio State than TCU in a game where I'm going to have either team losing in the next round regardless. So
exactly. So I'm going to take the coin flip on TCU here. Give me the Hypno Horned Frogs or whatever the hell they call them.
Hypnotoad.
Hypnotoad. And then Hypnotoad. I got Hypnotoads versus Duke. Give me Duke in that one. Duke, Ohio State. Who you got?
Yeah, I think Duke wins, moves on to the Sweet 16. I do think either of these two teams, were, like I said, hardest region of the bracket somehow got delivered to Duke. They'll be fine. They're not going to lose their second round game, but definitely the hardest 8-9 because either of those two teams has the game of their life. They could bounce you in the second round.
That they could, Noah.
Especially with the roster concerns with injury with Duke. Those depth players are, if Duke is going to make a super deep run in this tournament, those depth players are going to need to step up big. And guys who haven't played huge minutes this year are going to have to be efficient in the minutes that they do get.
That they will be, Noah. Let's move on to the next one. St. John's versus UNI. 5-12. I'm not feeling good about this 12 seed. Give me St. John's in this one.
Yeah, a 12 seed that I know very, very, very well. I've watched more UNI basketball than most other teams in the tournament field. This was a terrible draw for Northern Iowa.
Terrible. The worst that they could have been.
Them and St. John's play a similar style of ball. St. John's should not be a 5 seed. I get they had no big wins outside of conference play where they did win 2 out of 3 against UConn, beat Villanova twice, only had, I think, 2 conference losses. it should be St. John's, but like this is a single digit spread for a reason. Funny enough, this is the least picked 12 seed. And I think that's just a testament to how strong St. John's is and how they
Yeah.
shouldn't be at 5. This is the least picked 12 seed, but you look at the sports book, and this is the smallest spread among 12-5 matchups.
Yeah, only a 10.5 point spread. Well, Wisconsin High Point is 9.5. So I mean,
Oh well, these
picking
lines have been moving.
straws, but
These lines have been moving around. I've seen this. I've seen this line in particular as small as 7.5, and it only up to 10.5. So Northern Iowa plays the third slowest pace of play in college basketball. St. John's, their pace of play is not like fast, but it's a little bit faster. If Northern Iowa can slow the shit out of this game, and if they shoot the ball the way that they did in the Arch Madness tournament, which is the conference tournament for the Missouri Valley, by the way, they shot 65% from the field in their 4 games in 4 days in that tournament. They could beat St. John's. They could. It's a real possibility. I think St. John's does win this game just because they are the better team. I think Pitino gets past that first round exit that they had last year. But watch out for Northern Iowa. I do have a variation of my bracket where I do have Northern Iowa all the way to the Sweet 16, losing to Duke.
could see it.
But I'm on St. John's. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means.
I'm on St. John's as well. Kansas, Cal Baptist. Give me Kansas in this one. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of downfalls to Kansas. How's Darren Peterson going to play? Is he going to play? And I see those issues and everything, but I think they're still too good of a basketball team to not make it past 64.
I'm going to beat the same drum that I've been beating with Kansas here, and they are a better, fundamentally sound team without Darren Peterson on the court. And that is not
absolutely.
That is not, and I've said it before, it's not a knock on Darren Peterson, his talent, anything like that. This team is just a better team when he doesn't play. So I'm not worried about him not playing because I think they perform better when he doesn't. Statistically, they're like 1.5, 2 points worse in scoring differential when he doesn't play, adjusted for like strength of opponent and all that other jazz. I think they get past Cal Baptist whether he plays or he doesn't.
I'm with you.
Even though this is the smallest the smallest spread among 413s though.
That it is. Only 14.5 points here, Noah. So St. John's, Kansas, who you got?
Oh, actually, Bama Hofstra might be now, but whatever. Anyways.
St. John's, Kansas, who you got?
St. John's.
Me too.
I think whether St. John's or Northern Iowa wins that game, Kansas is just screaming second round exit to me.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you. Full second round exit there. You touched the base. Damn it. Yeah, second round exit for Kansas, I think, is also poetic for the season that they've had. Number 6, Louisville versus South Florida. No, I got to imagine this is one of the more popular 11 seeds being picked this season.
This is the hot ticket upset your 2026 tournament with 38%.
Oh, my goodness.
Of the public.
Oh, my goodness.
On South Florida to take out Louisville. Mikel Brown Jr. up in the air, much like Darren Peterson, although he has an actual injury. Unknown if he'll be ready to go come tournament time. Don't know when he's going to be available, when he'll be back from injury. He has missed the last 5 games for Louisville. They have done just fine in those. I'm calling smoke on this one. I'm calling smoke on this one. This is the hot ticket upset of this year's tournament, and people are going to be eating it up. No shade on USF. They got a really good team. Their coach turned down a job offer at shit, where was it? Just came out today. He turned down a Power Five job offer,
Jeez.
and I can't
I
can't
must have
remember
missed that.
can't remember off the top of my head where that was. Um, USF reportedly has a package put together that's on par with the value that St. Louis's coach got, and
Oh, okay.
I'm just struggling with names here tonight. Usually, I'm pretty good on that standpoint. I think
Yeah, well, it
USF's going to put up.
happens.
I think USF puts up a fight. This is where I got dangerous with my bracket with Louisville. With this being such a hot ticket upset pick, I do have Louisville going a bit farther, and I like them to beat South Florida in a game that might be a tough match, but I think it's about a 7.5 point spread for good reason.
Yeah, I'm on Louisville on this one. I think they go ahead and take care of business against South Florida. And just for fun, since we're talking percentages, 61% of the bet, 77% of the money on South Florida plus the 5. But 76% of the bets, only 49% of the money on Louisville money line. So you got feels like a lot of parlays and a couple heavy hitters just throwing everything in their mom on USF, which is wild.
They're a good team, but I don't know.
Not good enough. Michigan State, North Dakota State. North Dakota State, welcome. Yeah, welcome. Goodbye. Michigan State on this one. It's, as they say, it goes January, February, Izzo, and then there's other months after that. But this is the month Tom Izzo likes to get wild, and so I think he's at least going to get them to the round of 32.
I think this one's going to make a lot of people sweat.
Oh, it's a sweaty game.
I think this is going to make a lot of people sweat because a lot of brackets I'm seeing floating around have Michigan State in the Elite Eight, the Final Four, and they're going to be on the ropes in the first round. I think if there's a 14 seed that's going to grab a first round game, it's North Dakota State. Unfortunately, they are playing Tom Izzo. And Tom Izzo doesn't really like losing in March.
He doesn't. Does he? Yes, but he doesn't like it.
No, I really think this is going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think North Dakota State does have what it takes to beat Michigan State. I don't think it happens. I got North Dakota State moving on to the round of 32.
Wow. So you got Louisville, North Dakota State. Who do you have?
Well, it's the same logic as why I got Queens beating Purdue in my bracket. I think Louisville moves on to the Sweet 16. If Mikkel comes back, this team's even better, and they've proven they can win without him. If he's back in the fold, give me Louisville to move on to the Sweet 16.
Well, I have Louisville, Michigan State. I have this being Louisville's exit, giving Michigan State moving on to the Sweet 16, Noah. And that takes us to UCLA, UCF, 7-10 seed. I've heard a lot of smoke being puffed up UCF's ass here against UCLA. UCLA, not a team that we've talked about a lot this season, but Noah, a team that has performed well. You know what I mean? Who do you have in this one?
Yeah, UCLA went through a rough patch in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
They ended very strong. They ended the season very strong. UCF, complete opposite. They ended the season about as poorly as you could end it. And a team that was sitting on that 8-9 line for quite a while, maybe even as high as a 7, dropped themselves out to a bubble team and then won a game or two late. I think if they lost to Cincinnati in that second round of the Big 12 tournament, they wouldn't have even been in the field.
No shot.
I just can't get behind the way UCF is playing basketball right now. Themis Folks is incredible, but it's not going to be enough. I think UCLA, Mick Cronin company, take care of business, move on to the second round.
Yeah, I'm with you. Give me UCLA over UCF in that one. And then we get to our next 215 seed, UConn Furman. We talked about it a little bit when we were talking about the West, how this is The only other kind of 15 over 2 that we see, it's either this one or it's Queens over Purdue. I'm taking UConn to win this one, but I'm taking Furman plus the 20.5. Like this is one where I think UConn does pull away with it. I think they win this basketball game, mostly because of Dan Hurley and just being able to coach this type of a basketball game, get the boys ready and everything. But I think Furman's going to put up a hell of a fight and going to start to show the cracks in the armor that UConn has.
Yeah, UConn, the way they ended the season, not really instilling a lot of confidence. They had so many opportunities to grab a 1 seed. Instead, they really tried to force their way down onto the 3 seed line. Not quite successful, but they tried their damnedest. I think Furman can make this a little itchy for UConn, but UConn's not losing this game.
No, they're probably not. And then, so we have UCLA and UConn in the round of 32. No, who do you have in that one?
This is a game where I think UCLA can really put a lot of stress on UConn fans, especially after, if the Furman game's tighter than expected. I still don't think UConn, we always talk about how Izzo loves to win in March. What does UConn's track record look like lately?
Checks notes, Noah. It's pretty fucking good in March.
Yeah, they tend to, regardless of how their regular season goes, and they had a really good regular season, by the way. They tend to win when the calendar turns to March, especially when it comes to the big dance. And so, yeah, I don't think UConn's losing to UCLA or UCF. Move them into the Sweet 16, easy peasy.
Yeah, give me UCLA over UConn. I said this when we first started talking about college basketball this season, Noah. I don't think this UConn team is it. I don't think they are half as good as people want them to be, and they are getting the treatment that they are as good as people want them to be. And that ends in the round of 32. Early exit for UConn. Give me UCLA over UConn. Going to be facing Michigan State in the Sweet 16. I do have Michigan State over UConn. Over UCLA, Noah. Who do you have? Michigan State or Louisville. You have Louisville to the Sweet 16, right?
I do.
So Louisville or UConn?
Well, if Mikel Brown Jr. isn't able to play in the first round, if he's not able to play in the second round, and we got to go to the second weekend of the tournament before he's ready to go, assuming Louisville gets that far.
Yeah.
And this was the biggest gamble, the what if on my bracket, because without Mikel Brown, do I like Louisville to go to the Elite Eight? Fuck no. Do I understand he might not be available for the first round? Yes, I do. I still think without him, they get past USF. Will they get past Michigan State without him? That's pretty dicey. It could still happen. I don't know. But I'm going to say if he hasn't been there, and they do get here, and he comes back in this game, give me a 40, 45-point game for Mikel Brown Jr. They take down UConn. Louisville advances to the Elite Eight, where they play conference foe Duke in an ACC showdown.
Who do you have, Duke or Louisville? Who's going?
I think the buck stops there. Duke, Cameron Boozer, too good to not make the Final Four. They will be fucking tested in this East.
Oh, they will be.
They did not get the cakewalk that some of the other high-seeded teams did. But I think Duke battles through that adversity, gets it done, despite the lack of depth, and moves on to the Final Four.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got Duke over Michigan State and Duke in the Final Four as well, Noah. Let's move on to the South region here, Noah. Florida versus TBD, a.k.a. Lehigh, or who the fuck is PV?
Prairie
That's
View
Prairie
A&M.
View. Yeah, that is Prairie View. Lehigh or Prairie View. Florida beat belt to ass either way. I really don't care.
Yeah, that ain't gonna be much of a game.
No, no,
Yep, Lehigh
no.
by 20. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Florida moves on easy peasy.
Yep, I'm with you there. Clemson, Iowa. Tough one. I'm not gonna lie. No, this one is a tough one for me. The way Clemson played towards the end of the season. However, I just don't think it's. I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough, and I don't think the ACC is that good this year. Give me Iowa to move on.
Yeah, Clemson's been sucking ass lately, and I'm not overly sold on this Iowa team. They're one of those that every time that they match up against one of these top
Yeah,
Big Ten teams, I'm like, oh yeah, Iowa's dangerous. It's probably going to be a game.
and
Flashback to
then
like
it's
2 weeks
not.
ago when I told you, I'm like, yeah, I think Iowa beats Michigan outright, and it ended up being a 3-point loss for Iowa at home
I will say that was one of the funniest texts I've ever received from you.
because they were like what plus 380, plus 400 underdogs in that one.
Something like that, yeah. And then
And I
yeah.
texted you before the game, and I'm like, yeah, I think Iowa might win this one.
No,
And I was
I
having a
believe the
really good.
text was I believe the text was I'm having a really good week. I'm putting like 12 units on Iowa over Michigan on the money line.
Yeah, something like that. I was having a hell of a week, so I
And then I
just
ended up putting 5 units on Iowa.
well, I didn't mean that as like a whale play. I thought the line was not appropriate for where the game was, and I really
And that's
should have
why you
just
took
put
the
all
money
really
line.
should have just put all of that on Iowa to cover the
Yeah,
eight
you
and a
should
half,
have.
9.5 point
Anyway,
spread, whatever it was. But I got a little aggressive with that. But yeah, Iowa again, they're just one of those teams where it's like every time they're playing a good team, I'm like, yeah, they got a shot. They
yeah,
always
they have
have
a
a shot,
chance.
but they're not
Yeah, I
that
have a
great. But yeah, Clemson pissed the way they ended the season pissed me off. Another one of those teams that just backpedaled into the tournament. I can't get behind that. I'm going Iowa over Clemson.
I am with you there. So you got Florida or Iowa?
I got Florida. I think Iowa makes it a game. I think Iowa
I'm with
makes
you.
it a game against Florida, but Florida moves on.
I'm with you. Like if it's within, like 10 points, like I'm probably taking Iowa to cover, but outside of that, I don't know. Vanderbilt, McNeese, 5-12. Noah?
Uh, Vandy's really good this year.
They are.
McNeese got out of the first round last year. I saw on my feed earlier today. What's his face? Amir something
Amir
nickname.
Khan.
Yeah, in his bracket, and I had to go throw up in the toilet after looking at his bracket. The comments
Oh,
were
well,
really
did you
funny.
see a better? Holy shit. Do I still have the tweet? Hold on. Do I still have the tweet? Oh, did I save that tweet? No, I didn't. Oh my God. I forgot who it was, but some head coach went after him. Like I think it was a mid-major head coach went after him, calling him a loser essentially for doing what he does. And his response was, "My NIL is worth more than your contract." That's a tough one to swallow, but I mean, he's probably not wrong. Bro doesn't even play, and his NIL is probably insane.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have that tweet still.
I don't support going after him for anything, but
Bro just carries a speaker. Like, God, lay off of him. It's not his fault a bunch of companies wanted to give him a shit ton of money.
yeah, he was kind of cool last year, but like then
It's fine this year. Like, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I don't have an issue. He popped up and I saw how terrible his bracket was. I think he's got McNeese over NC State in the championship.
Well, Noah, what basketball team does he work for?
Well, I get that part, but then you look at the rest of the bracket and it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And why,
Maybe he bought some of the weed off of what's his name.
well, and why CBS is like promoting that on their social media. It doesn't matter.
Well, CBS gave him an IL deal. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Vandy's going to win this game. And
Yeah.
this McNeese team not as good to be expected when Will Wade left for NC State. Um,
But
I'm getting
yeah,
that right. Will Wade's at NC State.
I
I'm like
believe
there.
so.
There's too many power conference red teams that all got new coaches from mid-major teams where I occasionally get them a little bit mixed up in my head because they all look very similar, like Pat Kelsey at Louisville, Will Wade at NC State. Um, um, God, what's the old Drake guy? Oh, I can't.
Oh, fuck, what's his name?
Who? God, he went to West Virginia for a year or two and then went to
Yep.
Indiana.
No, I know who you're talking about. I can see his face. I can't picture his name.
Darian DeVries.
Yep, there it is.
So the three of them all coach for teams who are predominantly red and similar shades of red in the same area of the country, and they all look relatively similar. So I get their names, and I think I did a good job of at placing them all correctly here right now because that just fucks with my brain sometimes.
Yeah.
They're all kind of balding to some degree too. But yeah, Will Wade at NC State. Anyways, doesn't matter. McNeese not beating Vandy. Vandy is having a hell of a fucking season. That 17-point win over Florida in the SEC tournament, just chef's kiss on that one. Might have only moved them up from a 6 seed to a 7 seed, but it is what it is.
Fair enough. Nebraska, Troy. I got Nebraska in this one.
Yes.
Yeah. JK. No, I've got Troy.
You have Troy. Nebraska, the only power conference team who has never won a single game in a March Madness tournament, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm keeping that. I'm reading my notes back. That's exactly why I picked Troy.
But Fred Hoiberg is the coach of Nebraska now, and he's in his third season. They got an 8 seed last year. They lost in the first round. They get a 4 seed this year. They, for most of the year, were sitting on that 3-2 line. Dropped a couple games late. Nebraska's big issue this year has been they haven't been able to win the big games against the really good teams. They've been very, very sound against the not super big name, big top tier teams. I think Nebraska goes on easily. Troy is by far the worst 13 seed this year.
Yep.
I had Troy as a 15 seed coming into this tournament when I was doing my stuff. So I was shocked to see them on the 13 line. I think Nebraska blows by Troy just fine and gets their first ever tournament win in school history.
All right. We'll see what happens. I do have Vanderbilt over Troy, though. So, I mean, it's not like anything crazy. But
yeah, Troy is just like really not that good, I think. And
yeah, I don't think Nebraska's that good.
Well, yeah, I just,
so who do you have? Like, Vanderbilt or Nebraska? Who do you have?
I think that's where it ends for Nebraska. I think they get their win. It's fine and dandy. Again, I just fall back on the fact that Nebraska has not won big, meaningful games all year. And I think this is the Troy game. I don't classify as that. This one, it's a big, meaningful game. It's a 4-5 game against a tough team, and I think Vanderbilt comes out on top.
Fair enough, Noah. Let's move on. UNC, VCU. Who do you got in this one?
So, I guess I should have saved when we were talking about. Well, never mind. The South Florida Louisville game is still the hot ticket upset item. Despite Vegas putting the line here at 1.5 for North Carolina. Yes, Caleb Wilson out for the season. That's a huge factor in this. North Carolina probably would be a 3 or 4 seed if he never got injured.
Yep.
But you got a 1.5 point spread where only 31% of the public is on versus like a 7.5 point spread that 38% of the public's on. Um, this one, dare I even say, is not really that much of an upset when VCU goes on to beat North
No.
Carolina, because I saw this matchup and I was like, oh yeah, ideal situation for 11 seed
Yeah.
VCU. I think it'll be a tight game, but I like VCU to win.
Oh, you want to feel even better, Noah? The definition of reverse line movement. Line opened up at 1.5, 54% of the bets, 55% of the money on UNC minus 2.5, 66% of the bets, 59% of the money on UNC money line. Yeah. Yeah. Fade the bro. It's not even fading the public. I got a guy at work who's a huge UNC fan, watches every game, all of that. And I asked him, I said straight up, like, is the Williams injury as bad as everyone says it is? Like, is this going to hurt UNC that bad? And he said that was my only hope for March. And I was like, God damn, if they broke him down,
Well,
then
it's not just Caleb Wilson, Henry Vasar, who you definitely
that's right.
remember.
Vasar, yeah, ex U of A.
He's missed some games. He's been out with injuries. They have another starter and one of their bench players off, one of their depth players off the bench. So they've had four guys in their rotation dealing. Well, you got one out for the season. You got three who've been dealing with on and off injury type of shit. Like, it's tough. Again, fully healthy North Carolina this year with the roster that they had, they're probably on the 4 line, flirting with the 3 line.
Yeah.
They fell to the 6 because they've been banged up and they haven't had a fully healthy crew. Part of that too, when you guys missing just like 3, 4, 5, 6 game stretches, you're throwing off your rotation, and I don't think they're going to be fully like gelling and in a rhythm like that. That's a big thing, and I think North Carolina's going to be out of rhythm. VCU's playing their best basketball of the season.
They are.
And one other thing, VCU as an 11 seed, not what you want to see in your region of the bracket.
No.
If we want to go back to history and go back, turn the clock back. Yeah, VCU as an 11 seed has historically done some damage.
They absolutely have. So we both got VCU moving on here. Illinois, Penn. Who you got?
Penn, congratulations, you won the Ivy League. Yeah, I don't really see a scenario where Penn has a chance in this one.
Neither do I. Give me Illinois there on the 3 line, and then we got Illinois VCU. I do think that's where VCU's nice little journey ends. Give me Illinois moving on to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, Illinois is so damn good offensively.
So
I don't think this one's a shoe-in. I do have Illinois moving on to the elite or to the Sweet 16 here, but I could see VCU putting up quite a bit of a fight against Illinois.
Well, it really doesn't matter who Illinois faces. Let's get to the bottom half of this bracket here. St. Mary's, A&M. Who you got?
St. Mary's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
I'm not happy about it, but I'm picking St. Mary's.
Well, I can't convince I've looked at this 18 different ways and I can't find a way that I like A&M to beat St. Mary's in this.
Me either.
St. Mary's they're a good team this year. They're a very solid squad. A&M's just, again, you start looking at some of these bubble teams, and honestly, on the flip side of the bracket, I'm surprised that I would have had Santa Clara as the 7 and Kentucky as the 10, but it's these SEC teams on the bubble, and I'm like, what the fuck are any of them doing here? Like, I have no faith in any of them making a run.
I know.
Whether it be Texas, Mizzou, A&M, Kentucky, I'm probably leaving 1 or 2 of them out. They're just not that good, and I'm sure 1 or 2 of them are going to win a game, but at the end of the day, give me the Gales to move on.
I got that too. And then Houston, Idaho. This is not even like a thought in my head. Give me Houston. all day long, moving on against St. Mary's.
Yeah, I co-sign that.
And then I will say, oh no, not this one. I have Houston moving on against St. Mary's as well, going up to face Illinois in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, Houston, they've had their offensive issues this year, and they do at times struggle to find a basket, which makes me nervous about them. It really
No,
does. That's the big
yeah,
thing that makes me nervous about Houston. But it's a Kelvin Sampson team. This defense is going to be extremely sound. They're going to out physical just about everybody that they play. They're going to play better defense than just about everybody that they play. My only worry with them for the longevity of the tournament this year is, can they make shots when they need to? I don't think it's a factor in this game against St. Mary's. I
no,
think they'll just bully St. Mary's enough that they go on and win.
I agree. They're going to bully the shit out of St. Mary's. They're going to win that game. And Noah, I co-sign your worries about the shot selection, making shots, and everything like that. And that's why I have Illinois moving on in the Sweet 16 over Houston to go ahead and make it to the Elite Eight against Florida.
Yeah, see, for all the reasons. Oh, so you got Florida over Vandy.
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't talk about that yet. My bad. I fucked it up. My bad, Noah. But yeah, I got
okay.
Florida over Vandy.
Yeah, Houston, Illinois. I've got Houston for all of the positive reasons that I listed.
I get it. I get it.
You look at the track record that Kelvin Sampson's had in the tournament. Houston doesn't get bounced early. They just don't. They just don't. I think they've been in the Final Four 2 or 3 of the last 5 years. They've been in the Sweet 16, I believe, 5 or 6 or 7 years straight, something stupid like that. Granted, they've had really good seeds most of those years. And it's the same identity. Kelvin Sampson's a fucking hard ass. So
yeah,
if you're not willing to play defense, you're not playing for Houston. And they play slow
exactly.
And they play defense, and they do that every damn year. Like I said, my big concern being their shooting if they're playing in a tight game. Illinois is the number 1, number 2 offense in the entire country. They score a lot of points. Their defense, the only thing that holds them back. I think Houston's going to come in and play bully ball and completely dictate the pace of the game. They're going to dictate the style of the game. And Illinois is not capable of winning a game where they only score 60 points.
True.
They are just flat out not capable of winning a game where they don't score 75 plus, and you don't score 75 plus against Houston. So I like Houston to knock off Illinois. I think it is a perfect Sweet 16 matchup when you're talking about a 2 versus 3. If Houston had drawn like a Virginia or potentially like a Michigan State or something like that, I might not like their chances as much. But against Illinois, I think it's a perfect style matchup for Houston. I think they move on to the Elite Eight to face Florida, who I do have getting revenge over Vandy after that 17-point loss in the SEC championship. I think Florida gets the better of that score, gets their revenge in a very tight game. But also don't put it past Vandy to knock off Florida again in that Sweet 16 matchup if they get there, because I do think that is within the realm of possibility.
For sure. No, for sure. That Vandy team is well equipped enough. We've seen them beat them before. It's a very real possibility we're looking at. So I've got Florida and Illinois. You've got Florida and Houston. Who do you have making it into the Final Four, Noah?
Well, let's not forget, too, if Houston gets to the Sweet 16, they're playing at home.
True.
These
True chains.
These motherfuckers are playing at home in Houston in that South region. So long as they get through their first 2 round matchups, which I think they will with not too much trouble. Houston's playing at home. That's all the damn difference you need. That is all the damn difference you need. Not in their own building, because for some reason Rice is the school that's hosting this. It was originally supposed to be Houston, and then I guess a couple months ago it got shifted.
Well, they campaigned for it to be shifted so that if they did end up in this region, they could play, near home and everything. At least that's the conspiracies I'm reading.
Yeah, so not in their own building, but don't let that worry you. This hometown crowd is going to be all behind them. It is a home environment. That's a 3-point swing in its own in both the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 game for Houston. So if that Illinois game's tight, they got the home crowd. If that Elite 8 game against Florida, Vandy, whoever it may be, is tight, they got the home crowd. And so Houston's going to ride that home crowd momentum to the Final Four, barring a terrible shooting night, which they have been susceptible to. But I think Kelvin Sampson, he knows what the fuck he's doing. I think Houston gets to their fourth, I believe it's their fourth Final Four in 6 years if they make it this year. So,
well, good for them. I
got across the finish line yet, but I think they're going to get real close again.
Well, good for them. I've got Florida over Illinois. I got the 1 over the 3. I got Florida and Duke on the left side of the bracket in the Final Four. Arizona, Texas Tech on the right side. Noah, who do you have in the Final Four?
Well, mine's going to be Duke, Houston, Arizona, and Iowa State.
Sorry, I meant who do you have, Duke or Houston? Let's start off on the left.
Rematch of the Final Four from last year in that Duke-Houston matchup. Houston got the better of Duke last year. I think Duke takes it home this year, gets some revenge from last year, and moves on to the national championship game.
Well, I have Duke and Florida in my Final Four on the left side, and I have Florida moving on from Duke. I have Florida threatening the repeat. I've got Florida, trying to get back in there. But then we move on to the right side of the bracket. No, I have Arizona, Texas Tech. I think Arizona goes ahead and beats Texas Tech in this one to do a Arizona-Florida matchup in the finals. Who do you have out of Arizona, Iowa State?
I already maybe alluded to it earlier, but I got Arizona beating Iowa State for the third time this season, moving on to the national championship. And by the way, I do have a variation of my bracket that is that one is titled Big 12 Tourney V2, where Houston does beat Duke and Arizona knocks off Iowa State in the semifinal and Houston in the final, as we did in the Big 12 tournament. Just, some poetic, not justice, but,
just poetic. It's just poetic. How can you not be romantic about sports? You know what I mean?
Like a little poetic symmetry there. Arizona just knocks off Iowa State and Houston back to back to win another championship. But in my official bracket, I do have Duke, Arizona meeting in the final, the championship, with the two youngest, hottest coaches in the college basketball sphere. Tommy Lloyd setting the record this year for most wins in a coach's first 5 seasons. John Shire setting the record this year for the most wins in a coach's first 4 seasons. I would love if Duke was an early exit because Tommy Lloyd's only about 23, 24 wins. I forget what the exact number is ahead of John Shire. And I think John Shire easily hits 23, 24 wins next year. But I'm hoping, Duke can be a first round exit. We can go all the way. And then that cushion's 29 instead of 23.
Well, hey, U of A had a nice signing. So I'm not upset, not worried about Tommy Lloyd maybe hitting those wins too. Then yeah, exactly, and keeping those wins going. I've got Arizona, Florida in the Natty. Give me Arizona. I think it's the first time we're going to see them as an underdog the entire season, so I'm excited about that.
I think we'd be favored against Florida.
You think we'd get favored against Florida?
And we have been an underdog, by the way. We were an underdog against Florida the first game of the season.
Oh, that's right. I forgot we played Florida earlier, and then when we played UConn, right?
We were an underdog at UConn. We were a 1.5 point dog when we played Alabama at Alabama.
That was
back when they were still ranked 11th or something like that, 11th or 12th. So I think there's been 3 or 4. We were an underdog at Houston as well. So I want to say we've been a dog maybe 4 times this season.
Well, thank you for checking me there, Noah. But that is all I've got in the tournament. We both got U of A coming out on top. Bear down, go Cats. I mean, what else do you expect from this show with how we've been playing this year?
But you got. Oh, I was going to say, pick U of A in at least one bracket every single year. This is the first year where I've actually felt confident that this is a possible reality. Like,
Oh yeah, with our path and everything like that, I think this might actually be our year since '96 to go ahead and bring a. I believe it'd be the first time we brought a title across the Mississippi since '98
no, we were the last
and '96. Then yeah,
97.
wasn't I? I thought we won it in '96. No,
No,
it was the '96-'97 season.
yeah, so we won in '97. That's the last time a team west of the Mississippi has won the national championship in basketball. When it was the Pac-12, that was the last time a Pac-12 team had won it. Big Ten's doing even worse though, because Maryland, no, not even worse. Maryland won it in 2000 or something like that, but Big Ten's almost as bad, almost down as bad.
Almost. We'll get there soon after this year. But anything else on March Madness?
No, I just want to shout out a couple of my whether or not I'm picking them in my brackets or not. Just teams. AJ, give me 4 or 5 teams, whether or not you pick them, to watch for upset alert in the first round, and I'm talking like actual upset alert, off the radar, not your public picking upsets.
Well, we've talked about
you might have covered a couple of them already, but
yeah, we talked about Queens Purdue. We talked about Furman over UConn. We've talked about who was it? There was another one we talked about, or one I talked about. Santa Clara over Kentucky. Those are the 3 that I'm really looking out for. There is a really kind of I guess I picked Troy, and that's kind of an out there one. Troy over Nebraska.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Sorry, I don't want. I know I said first round, but give me your make it to the Sweet 16 or farther double digit seeds. Give me 3 to 5 of them that you think it's possible.
Double digit?
Yeah, give me 3 to 5 double digit seeds that you think it's possible for them to make it to the Sweet 16 or even farther.
I think Santa Clara is one that could definitely make it to the Sweet 16 or even farther.
You think that Iowa State upsets in the cards for them?
I think Iowa State has had enough bad games and bad situations that they could have a bad game in a bad situation. So I could see Santa Clara coming away with that one in the round of 32. I'm going to cheat a little bit and say St. Louis, because same thing with Michigan about Iowa State, seeing them play enough bad games. I think St. Louis can really get in there and win.
A little Robbie Avila magic.
Love that kid. And then I gotta say, give me I would say UNI over St. John's wouldn't shock me, but would definitely be an upset. And then hate A&M. VCU North Carolina is just easy. I want to get at this one a little bit, give a little bit more depth to this. There is a world where Missouri beats Miami.
That's what scares the shit out of me with my bracket.
Like, there's a world. I don't think it's this world or this timeline, but there is a world where Missouri beats Miami.
Yeah, that's the scary ass thing about picking like a 7 seed like I did to make it all the way to the Elite 8, is if Missouri beats Miami, which could happen, it's like a 1.5, 2.5 point spread.
Yeah.
Then I'm out an Elite 8 team right off the bat. Now, I hate picking a super chalky bracket. I did terribly in my pools last year because it was so
Your bracket was chalky as fuck.
I think we are going to have a pretty chalky bracket again this year, if I'm guessing. At least as far as a lot of the 1s, 2s, 3s go. Even the 4s, 5s, I think, might be a little bit more chalky than usual, but you never know with those.
I'm with you, Noah. Any I mean, I know we're on Arizona, and I know it'd be easy to say Duke, Florida. But are there any teams out there that, you think could really make that Cinderella run, go out there, win the national championship, anything above a 5 seed?
No Cinderellas to win the national championship. I am going to say
Well, fine.
Louisville.
Who's one team we're maybe not talking about being national
But
champions?
if you want to talk about a Cinderella to make the Final Four,
Sure.
I can talk that. Um, Louisville, Miami. Obviously, I got both of them in the Elite Eight. I think either of those two could make a run. If you're talking about a smaller Cinderella run, well, yes. If you're talking about smaller Cinderella run, Northern Iowa to the Sweet 16, I think is possible. I think Hawaii to the Sweet 16, possible. Hofstra, I don't like moving on past just beating Bama, but that's one that's sitting there. On the flip side of Louisville, North Dakota State, if they get past Michigan State, North Dakota State's a weird team.
Yeah.
They got that classic white guy who can shoot the lights out from three type of build that sometimes can win a game or two in March. If North Dakota State gets past Michigan State, which I do think is a possibility that nobody is really talking about, they could beat Louisville. UConn might not even be there if they lose to UCLA. North Dakota State could fuck around and find themselves in the Elite Eight somehow.
Oh, I can see it.
I'm just saying. And then if VCU, which I don't like them against Illinois, I don't like how it matches up. I do think they beat North Carolina, but if they do sneak past Illinois, they're probably lose to Houston, but you never know. Like I said, VCU as an 11 seed historically has been not a fun thing for anybody who has to play them.
No, not at all. Not at all. Hasn't been for a while.
Let's not forget they've made, I think, 2 Sweet 16 runs and an Elite 8 run as an 11 seed in their history. And that's just in the last 10, 15 years. So when VCU gets in 11, you got to watch out.
That sounds about right. But it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We got a great weekend ahead of us, Noah, starting on Thursday. I mean, I know I've already put in my PTO and everything. I guess my one PSA I want to put in before March Madness is those early games. I'm over here in Arizona. I mean, games start at 9 a.m. over here. So those games that start between 9 and 12 o'clock, take the under in the first half. Take the under in the first half. Those teams are tired. It's early. They haven't played this early before. Take the under in the first half.
Look at how far they have traveled to.
Exactly. Look at all that fun stuff. Take the under in the first half. But yeah, hey, with all that being said, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to everyone here on Rumble over on YouTube. Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help out more than you know. With all that being said, I'm the Brofict One AJ. What?
One last note. When you're looking at the underdogs, if the home team's not playing close to home, they sell these tickets for sessions. All the other fans, so you got maybe half of the fans at that session are for the other game. They all root for the underdog. They all root for the underdog.
They all are.
You probably got three quarters of the place rooting for you, unless you're playing in the backyard of the team you're playing. But just something to keep in mind when you're looking at these games, picking these games, because I've been at a couple of those in March, and the crowd gets fully behind the underdog.
Hell yeah, brother. You got to get under the underdog. It's March.
Almost makes it a home game.
Hey, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy March Madness. I'll be live Thursday through Sunday with all of your March Madness recaps, reactions, and everything like that. But with all that, I'm the Brofict One AJ. That's the Money Train Noah. Good luck. God bless. We'll see you next time on Degenerate Takes.